So you've kind of played a lot of baseball growing up,
Yeah.
to a pretty high standard. Did this project seem like something that was almost, because I know Linklater's talked about it being semi-autobiographical. Was it
Right.
like that for you as well? Did it feel quite personal?
Yeah, I think him capturing kind of the time was definitely something that was personal to him, but the environment and kind of that the camaraderie and all those things were very, very familiar for me. So it was kind of going back and reliving those days and recalling what that was and just kind of that attitude that exists when you're surrounded by a bunch of guys that time of life and what's going on. So for me, yeah, it was a great kind of trip down memory lane at moments. Not everything kind of went along with what we did, but enough of it to kind of feel like, oh, I'm getting a little taste of what life used to be like.
And you guys obviously did a lot of bonding as a group.
Yeah.
What sort of stuff would you get up to?
I mean, everything we would do in the 3 weeks of rehearsal. So, the read-throughs of the script obviously was something we would do, but, baseball practice, the dance rehearsals, having our game nights with foosball and ping pong and shooting pool and things like that. So a lot of competitive things. I think that's kind of one of the things I remember from back in the day was everything was a competition. I mean, whether it was like Guitar Hero or Rock Band or any of those video games, anything we did was a competition and there was always a score being kept. So, and that's kind of the things that we brought back. And that's kind of, it creates like a weird bonding thing with guys. And it's just, you're constantly trying to one-up each other. And that's kind of what we did throughout the film.
Do you think you'll keep in touch with a lot of the cast members?
We've got a text chain that goes off every day. Yeah. So we finished shooting about a little over a year and a half ago now. And so, yeah, it's a genuinely great group of guys. We don't just say that on the press tour and talk about how great everyone is. We do stay in touch. We see each other fairly often when people aren't out of town. And then, yeah, we pretty much talk about it every day.
And sort of a bit of a hypothetical one. If you could speak to your younger self going into college, what would be your one bit of advice?
Have more fun.
Yeah.
Have more fun, yeah. I was definitely a very focused student athlete, which is not a bad thing at all. But I think I would have told myself to live in the moment a little bit more often. There's, kind of this thing. I think it's when you're young, you don't have the perspective of time necessarily yet. And really kind of how quick that time goes. And I know when I was a kid, everyone said, this is the best time of your life and things like that. And I don't always agree with that to the extent that, life can't be as fun later on. But it is a very special time in life where you're going through a lot of things and experiencing things for the first time. So I think just kind of valuing and enjoying those experiences more than trying to overanalyze them or, kind of skate through them.
Do you think actors kind of face the same sort of challenges that sort of people wanting to make it in sports do, in that they go from being big fishes in small ponds to being big fish with, 100 different big fish?
Yeah, I think that's true in a lot of fields, though. I think, the higher you go up in anything, the more competitive it gets and the narrower the gap for people to get through. But sports, definitely, I think in sports, though, you experience it at such a young age that it's an interesting thing to go through, because most of the time, if it's a career or something, people are in their 30s or whatever it might be, and you've been doing something for a while, and it becomes a competitive job where, in college, you're 17, 18 years old, and you're being asked to, hold down a job and compete for these very, very small spots. Especially college sports in the States, it's incredibly competitive with baseball and football in particular. So it's a lot of pressure, but it's definitely enacting the same thing. There's only so many jobs, and there's a lot of talented people. So, you just kind of go through it, and you get the ones you're meant to get.
You left the Teen Wolf series to do this film. Was that because of Richard Linklater?
That was just in general. I think at that time I had done about 4 seasons on the show, and it was for me felt like the character had kind of run its life, and I was personally ready to go and try new things. I was at a time in life where it felt like it was time for me to take a risk and go and walk away from something that was a bit of a safety net. And go pursue things that I was more passionate about. So at the time it was film, and this one happened to come up a few months after leaving the show, and it worked out nicely. So yeah, but I mean, everything about this project was appealing. So.
And you're going to be in 50 Shades Darker, is that correct?
I am in the sequels. I don't know, they're shooting them together, so I actually am not sure which one, and I don't know that I can say anything. Okay. So yeah, it's one of those films. But I am in one of them, and I am playing Boyce Fox. Yeah.
Okay, and I've seen in the past you were linked with Batman vs Superman.
I saw that too.
Yeah.
I saw that too.
I don't know how true that is, but would you be keen on doing a superhero film at any
Oh
point?
God, yeah, absolutely. I think James Bond was my fantasy role for a very long time when I was a kid, and then someone destroyed my dreams and told me I'm not British, so I can't do that. And so that one kind of went out the window. So I guess our version of James Bond in the States is Batman. So yeah, absolutely. I think done the right way. I mean, I love the series with Christopher Nolan and Christian Bale, what they did. So it's something like that would absolutely be appealing to me for sure.
I guess this is one for our readers. A lot of drinking games that feature in the film.
Okay.
Do you have a particular favourite of any?
I'm a big beer pong fan.
Yeah.
I enjoy some beer pong. Yeah, that's kind of the one my brother and I get into the most trouble with. But it's funny actually in the film. There's a lot of things going on while we're drinking and stuff. But it was one of the things I noticed. We talked to Rick because for the party scenes he would ask us, what do you think your characters would be doing, and we kind of had to come up with ideas. And we'd asked him, what drinking games did you guys really like to play back then? And he was like, drinking games. He's like, we just drank. We didn't really need a reason to drink. We just drank. So that was one of the things we actually couldn't have. We were going to try to get beer pong. He's like, yeah, no, we didn't do that yet. He's like, we just had a beer. That was about it.